After 27 years of marriage, Tim McGraw is leaving Faith Hill. The country star who once seemed unstoppable is now facing the hardest choice of his life after Faith Hill's devastating diagnosis. Behind closed doors, doctors told Tim the news that changed everything. While fans watched him cancel shows and go through multiple surgeries, no one knew the real truth. Now at 57, he's finally made the painful decision that's breaking hearts across Nashville. Tim McGraw's journey began in a small town in Louisiana. He was born on May 1, 1967 in Delhi. His mother, Betty Ann D'Agostino, was a teenage waitress who was struggling to make ends meet. But Tug McGraw wasn't there for most of Tim's childhood. His mother raised him by herself, living off of food stamps and welfare. For years, Tim thought his stepfather, Horus Smith, was his real dad. He even changed his last name to Smith. That changed when he was 11 years old. He found his birth certificate in his mother's closet while looking for a school project photo. The name listed under father wasn't Horus Smith, but Tug McGraw. When Tim asked his mother about it, she told him the truth, but Tug still denied being his dad. It wasn't until Tim turned 18 that Tug finally admitted it. Over time they became close, and their relationship lasted until Tug died of brain cancer in 2004. Tim was good at sports even before he knew who his father was. He got a baseball scholarship to Northeast Louisiana University and wanted to play professional baseball, but a knee injury ended his career before it even started. That's when he turned to music. His stepfather had introduced him to country music when he was young, and that became his new focus. On May 9, 1989, Tim moved to Nashville. That same day, country star Keith Whitley died. Tim had no connections, no money, and no guarantees. He only had his dream. Nashville was full of talented singers, all trying to make it. Finding success wasn't easy. His first big break came from his biological father. Even though Tug McGraw wasn't a part of Tim's early life, he unknowingly helped his son. Tim McGraw signed a record deal with Curb Records on October 22, 1990. He was 23 years old and full of ambition, but he still had a lot to prove. A record deal didn't guarantee success, though. Tim's first album, Tim McGraw, came out on April 20, 1993, and it was a failure. None of the singles made it into the top 40, and the song What Room Was the Holiday In didn't even make the charts. Radio executives called it terrible, and Joe Daffy and producer Byron Gallimore contributed to it, but it wasn't enough to make an impact. Critics said Tim's voice was too weak, and the songs weren't memorable. It was a hard blow to his career. Even though it didn't do well, Tim didn't give up. He knew he had to get better, so he quickly took charge of his next album and worked closely with Byron Gallimore. This time he made sure the music showed who he really was. He didn't have a voice like Vince Gill or George Strait, but he didn't try to sound like them either. Instead, he leaned into his own sound, which was honest, simple, and real. When his second album came out in 1994, it not only topped the Billboard 200 and country albums charts, it made McGraw a star. It sold over 6 million copies and put him in the same league as G. Brooks and Alan Jackson. A year earlier, no one had even heard of him. Now he was headlining tours that were sold out. The album's first single, Indian Outlaw, which came out in February 1994 and became a big hit across North America, had a catchy beat and a rebellious vibe that made it a fan favorite. It went to number 8 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart and number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100. But it also caused a lot of controversy. Some Native American groups said the song used harmful stereotypes. Lyrics about wigwams and tom-toms felt out of date, and critics said it played on old Hollywood cliches. The National Coalition Against Racism in Sports and Media called for a boycott, and 2 radio stations in Minneapolis banned the song after complaints from listeners. Not everyone agreed. People liked McGraw's music and went to his concerts. The vice chief of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians even wrote him a letter saying he didn't mind the song. McGraw defended it as a light-hearted track, but he could see why some people were upset. He kept performing it, and the controversy only helped it do well. Then came Don't Take the Girl, which came out in March 1994. It was the complete opposite of Indian Outlaw. It was an emotional ballad that told three connected stories. It started with a boy who didn't want a girl to join him on a fishing trip. It then moved on to a man begging a robber not to hurt her. Finally, it was the same man praying as she struggled to survive childbirth. The song struck a chord with people, and it went to #1. It was McGraw's first #1 hit on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart on May 28, 1994. It also reached #17 on the Hot 100, showing that it had appeal outside of country music. Critics praised the song's sincerity and storytelling, showing a different side of McGraw. He wasn't just a singer who could make fun radio hits, he could also move people with heartfelt emotional songs. This balance became one of his biggest strengths. By the end of 1994, Not a Moment Too Soon was unstoppable. The album won 2 major ACM awards, including Album of the Year and Top New Male Vocalist. Billboard named it the Best Country Album of the Year. After almost losing his record deal and having several hit singles, including 2 #1 songs, McGraw became one of the biggest names in country music. But that wasn't the end of his rise in the 1990s. It was about changing the direction of country music and reaching people who weren't usually fans. 2 albums, Everywhere 1997 and A Place in the Sun 1999, were big parts of this change. Everywhere was McGraw's 4th studio album, and it introduced a smoother, more crossover-friendly sound that made his music appealing to a wider audience. 4 of the album's singles, Where the Green Grass Grows, Just to See You Smile, and Is Your Love Everywhere, all topped the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. Just to See You Smile stayed at the top of the chart for an amazing 42 weeks, making it Billboard's top country song of 1998. This level of success made it clear that McGraw wasn't just popular, he was ruling country music. 2 years later, on May 4, 1999, A Place in the Sun went even further, with 5 major singles like Please Remember Me, Something Like That, and My Best Friend. The album sold over 4 million copies in the U.S. His album Everywhere won the CMA Award for Album of the Year, and he also won Male Vocalist of the Year, showing that his success wasn't just about sales. Critics and industry leaders recognized his impact on the genre, and one song from it, Your Love, a duet with Faith Hill, became a career-defining hit. Written by Stephanie Smith, the song was released in 1997 and quickly rose to #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, staying there for 6 weeks. It also made it into the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100, which was a rare feat for a country song at the time. What made it even more special was that McGraw and Hill had just gotten married, and Hill was pregnant with their first child while filming the music video. Fans in the music industry loved it. It won ACM and CMA awards for Vocal Event of the Year and was nominated for 2 Grammys. The song sold over 2 million copies and became one of McGraw's most famous hits. It showed that he could write songs that went beyond country music while staying true to his roots. But McGraw's impact went beyond music. In 1994, he started Swamp Stock, a charity event that became much bigger than he had imagined. At first, it was just a softball game to raise money for Little League programs in Rayville, Louisiana, but as his fame grew, so did the event. It became an annual tradition that drew over 11,000 people. There were a lot of people at Swamp Stock every year, and along with the softball game, big-name artists performed. The money raised went toward building new Little League fields, buying equipment, and paying for college scholarships for local students. For McGraw, this wasn't just about giving back, it was personal. He grew up in Delhi, Louisiana, and knew how hard life could be in a small town. Swamp Stock was a way to make a real difference, and it didn't stop there. Over the years, he took part in other charity efforts, like benefit concerts for Hurricane Katrina victims and donations to Music Cares, an organization that helps musicians in need. His big break came in 2004 with Friday Night Lights, where he played Charles Billingsley, a troubled and abusive father. This role was very different from the smooth image Fans knew him for in his music. It was raw and intense, and critics took notice. The Dallas Observer praised his performance for its unexpected ferocity. The film made over $60 million worldwide and became one of the most respected sports dramas of its time. 5 years later, McGraw showed he could do more than just tough and angry roles. In The Blind Side 2009, he played Chatouille, Michael O'Hare's kind and supportive adoptive father. It was a huge hit, making $39 million on a $29 million budget. It is still one of the highest-grossing sports dramas of all time, and it solidified McGraw's place in Hollywood. Then came 183, the prequel to Yellowstone, which took his acting career to a whole new level. He played James Dutton, a Civil War veteran leading his family west, and gave a gritty and emotional performance. The show ran from December 2021 to February 2022 and was praised for its powerful storytelling. His real-life wife Faith Hill played his on-screen wife, making their relationship feel even stronger. McGraw kept pushing himself in Hollywood. In Country Strong 2010, he played the husband of a struggling singer. In Tomorrowland 2015, he played a NASA engineer. Even though he had a busy music career, he never stopped looking for roles that would challenge him. It was amazing to see him go from being a country music superstar to a respected actor. But in January 2025, McGraw shocked fans when he quit an upcoming Netflix rodeo series because of health problems. He had been excited to explore the high-stakes world of professional bull riding as a veteran champion facing off against a fearless young rival. The role of a veteran champion facing off against a young rival was a perfect fit for him, but after back surgery and knee surgeries in August 2024, he realized the role was too hard on his body. Fans were upset, but the decision made one thing clear: years of performing and acting had taken a toll on McGraw's body. The future of the Netflix series is uncertain, but talks about recasting have already begun. Walking away from such a big project wasn't easy for someone as dedicated as McGraw, but it was a reminder that even the hardest working artists have to put their health first. McGraw's career has always been full of surprises. In 2004, he made one of his bravest moves yet by teaming up with rapper Nelly on the song Over and Over. At the time, mixing country and hip-hop was almost unheard of. Although Nelly's record label had doubts, McGraw believed in the song, so they went ahead with it. The track was recorded in Los Angeles while McGraw was on tour with Faith Hill, and it became an instant hit. It went to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the charts in Australia, Ireland, and the UK. Critics praised McGraw's vocals for adding emotional depth and blending perfectly with Nelly's introspective lyrics. Live Like You Were Dying, his album, was released on August 24, 2004 and made a big splash. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and sold 766,000 copies in its first week. As a sign of how popular it was, the album was recorded on a mountaintop studio in upstate New York, which gave it a raw and emotional feel. The title track was more than just a hit song. It was inspired by the death of McGraw's father, Tug McGraw, and touched millions of people. It was number 1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart for 7 weeks and reached number 29 on the Billboard Hot 100. At the 47th Grammy Awards, it won Best Male Country Vocal Performance and Best Country Song. Billboard named it the Best Country Song of 2004, and in January 2024, Country Aircheck named it the Back When, a nostalgic look back at simpler times, reached number 1 on the album. My Old Friend, on the other hand, was more emotional and peaked at number 6. Each song showed a different side of life, from happiness to reflection. The heartfelt lyrics and catchy melodies made this album one of the most important in McGraw's career. 20 years later, he is still changing. In March 2025, he re-released Paper Umbrellas from his 2023 album Standing Room Only, but this time as a duet with Parker McCullum. The rising country star added a new energy to the song by combining his neo-traditional style with McGraw's signature sound. The track became a hit. The song Paper Umbrellas Look Good on Top But They Won't Stop the Rain, which was written by Monty Criswell and Drake Milligan, gave the song emotional depth beneath its upbeat vibe. Fans praised the collaboration, calling it one of McGraw's best in years. At 57, McGraw isn't just staying relevant, he's staying connected. His latest project isn't just about studio work, it's about live performances that give his music more meaning. On August 30th, 2025, he will headline a special concert at the Field of Dreams site in Dyersville, Iowa. This is more than just another show, it's a tribute to what would have been Tug McGraw's 81st birthday. The Field of Dreams site is famous for being the setting for the 1989 baseball classic starring Kevin Costner. Since then, it has become a symbol of nostalgia and family ties. The venue, which is on a 193-acre farm, has drawn baseball fans for years. Now, for the first time, it will host a live music event combining movie history with country music. The concert is being put together by the U.S. concert agency USCA in partnership with StubHub, and pre-sale tickets sold out in minutes. They met in 1994 but didn't start dating until 1996. That year they went on a tour together and performed night after night. As the tour went on, McGraw knew he wanted to marry Hill, but it wasn't easy to convince her. He proposed more than once, but Hill wasn't sure. She was engaged to someone else when the tour started, and the thought of dating another country singer made her hesitant. McGraw didn't give up though. On June 26, 1996, at the Country Jam Festival in Grand Junction, Colorado, he tried again. They were backstage in a trailer when he turned to her and said, "I'm really serious. I want you to marry me." Hill said yes. When McGraw walked on stage to perform, he didn't know what she would say. But when he got back to his dressing room, he saw the words, "Yes, I'm going to be your wife," written in red lipstick on the mirror. That was the moment everything changed. A few months later, on October 6, 1996, they got married, starting a life together that would last for decades. To this day, they still have that mirror as a reminder of the night their future was sealed. Despite the demands of their careers, family was always their first priority. They had 3 daughters: Gracie, born May 5, 1997, Maggie, born August 12, 1998, and Audrey, born December 6, 2001. It wasn't easy to raise their kids while being country music stars, but they made sure they learned strong values. Tim McGraw has spent decades performing on stage, touring nonstop, and taking on physically demanding roles in film and TV. All of this has taken a toll on his body. Over the years, he has had multiple surgeries to keep going. His knees have given him the most trouble, requiring 2 surgeries. He has also broken 3 feet and needed medical care. His elbow also needed surgery. In 2024, he hurt himself on tour and had to have orthopedic surgery on both knees, which caused him to miss a few concerts. During his recovery, he had to stop watching a Netflix rodeo series with intense bull riding scenes. These injuries changed how McGraw worked out. He used to stay in shape by running, but after years of damage, he couldn't do that anymore. Instead of slowing down, he changed his routine and focused on exercises that were easier on his body. He wouldn't let the setbacks define him. Long before these surgeries, McGraw had another event that made him think about his health. In 2008, he weighed 215 pounds. He didn't understand how much he had changed until his daughter Gracie, who was 11 at the time, told him. She told him this while she was watching the trailer for his movie 4 Christmases. That moment hit him hard. It made him realize how far he had fallen from the athleticism he had shown when he was younger. Determined to make a change, he gave up alcohol, burgers, and the unhealthy road food that had been a part of his life for so long. He started slowly with light activities like walking and worked up to running and weight training.
Within 2 years he had lost 40 pounds. But for McGraw, this wasn't just about losing weight, it was about feeling better, performing at his best, and having the energy to enjoy life with his family. He quit drinking in 2008, which was another turning point. He has been open about how drinking affected his personal life and career. At one point, he was afraid that if he didn't stop, he would lose everything: his job, his relationships, and his family. With the help of his wife Faith Hill and their children, he decided to get sober. It wasn't easy, but over time he saw the benefits. He was able to see things more clearly, focus on what was important, and value what was most. Faith Hill has also had her own health problems. In 2022, she had surgery on her neck to fix a problem that had been giving her pain for years. This wasn't the first time she had the procedure. She had it again in 2011. The surgery was called anterior cervical discectomy and fusion. Hill had it done because of an old injury. After surgery, she went to the Oscars, where fans quickly noticed a small scar on her neck and started speculating. Some tabloids lied, saying that the surgery was life-threatening or that she was sick, but sources close to her quickly shot those rumors down. The truth was that her recovery took a long time. The surgery involved removing a damaged disc and fusing the nearby vertebrae to stabilize her spine. She had to go through months of physical therapy and careful movement. Even after she healed, she had to change how she performed to avoid putting too much stress on her body, but she never let it get in the way of her success. While she and McGraw were on tour, she found ways to keep performing while taking care of her health. Tim McGraw's career has been a mix of huge successes and tough battles. In 1994, his song Indian Outlaw was a huge hit. It was from his album Not a Moment Too Soon, which made him a star. The song rose through the charts almost as quickly as Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus. Fans loved its energy, but Native American groups didn't. Lines like "You can find me in my wigwam, I'll be beating on my tom-tom" seemed more like an old Hollywood stereotype than a real tribute. The backlash came quickly. The National Coalition Against Racism in Sports and some radio stations stopped playing it because of the backlash. Wabanini, a famous activist, called it cheap Hollywood music and said it used offensive tribal beats and cliches. Even Wilma Mankiller, the first female chief of the Cherokee Nation, spoke out against it. McGraw defended the song by saying it was meant to be fun and not offensive. He also said that some Native American fans had actually asked for it on reservation radio stations. The controversy didn't go away, and it led to bigger conversations about how country music represents different cultures. For McGraw, it was the first time he was seriously criticized by the public, but it wouldn't be the last. As his fame grew, his concerts got wilder. He wasn't just a singer on stage, he was in charge. People were heckling during a performance of Indian Outlaw in Auburn, Washington, when McGraw saw a man in the front row hitting a woman. He didn't hesitate. He called security, dragged the man onto the stage himself, and handed him over to the police. Fans cheered. They saw him as someone who wouldn't stand for abuse at his shows. This wasn't the only time he got into trouble with the crowd. At a concert in Reno, Nevada, he was singing "Where the Green Grass Grows" when he messed up the lyrics. Some people wouldn't let it go, so McGraw had enough. He stopped singing, jumped off the stage, and confronted them. Face to face with a fan who grabbed McGraw's crotch during a performance was the most uncomfortable incident. His wife Faith Hill was in the audience and called the fan out from the stage, making it clear that this kind of behavior would not be tolerated. These events shaped McGraw's reputation. He wasn't just another country star, he was someone who took charge, whether that meant stopping a fight or defending himself. Some fans admired his toughness, while others thought he lost his cool too easily. His biggest fight wasn't with a fan, it was with his own record label. By 2011 he had his wealth. He had been with Curb Records for almost 20 years, but things had gone bad between them. Carb accused him of breaking his contract by releasing his album Emotional Traffic too early. They said he had to wait at least 18 months between releases. McGraw fought back, saying Carb was purposely delaying things by putting out too many greatest hits albums to keep him locked into his contract. He even said they were treating him like a prisoner, calling it involuntary servitude. The legal battle went on for years. In November 2011, a Tennessee judge ruled in McGraw's favor, saying he could record new music while the case was being settled. He didn't waste any time. In May 2012, he signed with Big Machine Records, the same label that helped him get his first record deal. Carb wasn't ready to give up. They kept fighting, saying they still owned McGraw's recordings, but courts kept ruling in his favor. By the end of 2013, the legal battle was over and McGraw had won. The case changed more than just his career. It raised big questions about how much power record labels should have over artists.